What's going on, my friends? SeanPierceJohnson here, and welcome to this week's episode of Stompbox Saturday. And on the stompin block this week, we have the Space Race Reverberation pedal. It's a reverb pedal, a new reverb pedal from my friends at Alexander Pedals. I really love the Neo series that Alexander has expanded upon over the last year or so. It crams a bunch of awesome digital effects into a compact pedal that they're really easy to operate and really easy to dial in the sound that you're looking for. You have the instruction manuals that come with the pedal, and they definitely help with your initial explorations. But even from minute one, you can pretty much plug into these things and go without looking at the manual, and the Space Race is no exception to that. From the minute I got this, I was having a lot of fun with the different sounds involved in this pedal, and we're going to take a listen to them today. So let's go ahead and throw the pedal up on the screen, take a look at our controls, and have some fun. Shall we? As you can see, the pedal pretty much has the same form factor from the other Neo series pedals we've taken a look at this year. 4 knobs are going to be how you adjust the overall sound. We have a mix control, which adjusts your wet-dry blend, which already gets a gold star in my book. I vastly prefer mix controls. But notice underneath in parentheses it says volume. That means that if you hold down on the center button, you can move that knob and adjust the overall output volume of the pedal, which I think is very, very nice. Just gets your gain staging in order. Then we have reverb, which is going to adjust the depth of the reverb effect. Space. This is actually going to be the knob that sets your pre-delay, which you can basically think as the space between your original note's attack and when the reverb effect comes in. And then the final knob is tweak, which is sort of the chameleon knob of this pedal. Depending on the mode you have selected, it will adjust a different parameter. And when we get to each individual sound, I'll let you know what exactly it is doing there. Now, the center button allows you to choose between 6 different reverb sounds with modulated reverb, spring reverb, LoFi reverb, a shimmer reverb, a plate reverb, and finally, an analog reverb. Now that we've covered what the controls can do, we really need to hear how this thing sounds. So let's go through each of the different sounds and I'll show you just a little taste of what you can do. Modulated reverb. This is definitely one of my favorites for anything from a standard reverb to ambient. Let's go ahead and hear how short and how long we can get this reverb just by turning the reverb knob. As you can hear already at 12 o'clock, this thing gets pretty long. With the tweak knob, essentially what this is doing is it's adjusting the speed and the depth of the modulation that you hear on the reverb tail. If you ask me, this just, if you put them at noon, it just kind of has this nice magical floating quality. Shimmer reverbs have really become a hot commodity in pedals. It seems like over the course of the last 3 to 5 years, anybody that puts out a reverb pedal has got to try their own at Shimmer, and Alexander has put their interpretation of that sort of modern classic sound into the Space Race, and it's very, very cool. It's not just a Shimmer with a high octave. We can also get a low octave for the Shimmer effect. The tweak knob is essentially going to be that blend between high octave towards the clockwise portion of the knob and that low octave towards the counterclockwise portion. Now, let's go ahead and listen to what that sounds like. Go ahead, turn the mix up fairly high, and I'm just gonna sweep the tweak knob, play a little bit so you can hear the high octave effect and then transition into that low octave effect. Of all the modes on the Space Race, I gotta say that Lo-Fi is probably my favorite. It combines a verb with some gnarly, crushing distortion effects on the decay, and it's all kinds of disgustingly beautiful. The tweak knob adjusts that distortion effect, so you can get a little or you can get a lot. So let's go ahead and listen to how much you can get and how little you can get. Starts out pretty much at nothing. There's a little bit of a warble there, but it's that distortion we're after. And we come to Plate, a studio classic, and one that if it's on a reverb pedal, I'm gonna try it, and chances are I'm most likely going to enjoy it. And well, this is a pretty dang good one if I do say so myself. Now when it comes to the tweak control on the Plate mode, this is adjusting the high-end diffusion. Now we're getting into sort of studio magic trickery talk here, so I'll explain diffusion in an easy way. Essentially what diffusion is, it's the way that a sound disperses in a room. It's the way, it's not really like decay in that it's a length thing. It's just more the way that that sound carries out in an acoustic space, a room, a hall. So that's what tweak is doing, and I'll show you a little bit of what that means. And I think the best way to do that is with a distorted sound. You can sense that it's starting to carry out a little bit more. Very interesting there. And what you hear really decaying out at that point are the higher sort of airy frequencies of the reverb. Now let's dial that back. You can sense that now it's starting to get a little bit tighter. Spring, it's a classic reverb sound, and there's been a lot of new reverb pedals that are seeking to replicate that chirp, that twerp, and that drip as much as possible. Some do it really well, some really miss the mark. To me, the Space Race does a very, very good job of getting close. Not quite to that like authentic drip, but definitely gets in that school of thought. Now, this is the mode where things really change on this pedal. Several of the knobs start doing different things. So the mix stays pretty much how it always is. It's always going to do that. Reverb is going to be the reverb time, yes, but space, rather than adjusting pre-delay, becomes kind of like the dwell knob on a spring tank. It kind of is like think of it like an input gain kind of thing. And we'll take a listen to that in a little bit. And tweak is now going to adjust the tone of the reverb sound. And that's where we kind of get that kind of crashing sound that you can sometimes get from a spring tank, and it's kind of cool. Yeah, very cool. Still kind of old school, and I kind of dig it. Now, the tweak knob is really where we're going to be hearing that chirp and that drip that everybody seems to like for their surfy kind of stuff. You really will hear it most when you turn it up all the way, so full clockwise. And your spy movie kind of stuff. And it's really fun. You know, it doesn't get 100% that drip of an actual spring tank. It gets really close. But what I like this mode for is doing things with the spring reverb that are not quite the standard fare. Kind of pushing that sound into a new territory. So let me show you how I like to do that. Analog reverb. That's a weird one because analog reverb is really the kind of reverb that you'd hear, you know, in the room like this, which is kind of dead. Oh well. So how does one fit the sound of the world into an analog reverb? Well, because it's not really that. Essentially, what the guys of Alexander have done is they've digitally replicated an old Bucket Brigade chip-based echo effect that they really seem to love that creates these very short time delays in the signal. And then instead of, sort of blending them and smushing them and smoothing them together to create a reverb, it just creates this stacking effect of delays that kind of carry out into infinity. But they don't stack up on each other and create this weird sort of self-oscillation thing that can often happen with other echo pedals. And it just creates something really washy, really nice, really beautiful, as a matter of fact. So to start out the reverb knob, instead of being sort of a short reverb and a long reverb, is going to adjust the delay time of those multiple echoes. Now, space is going to be the overall feedback of those echoes that are created. Now, the tweak is adjusting a modulation effect that is added onto those echoes to create that kind of, that's really the way that they're kind of coming together, so to speak, and doing the thing. A really cool, like, bathroom kind of reverb, kind of bit crushy. And I kind of like it just like that, so that's fun. Let's turn it up. That is a charming little artifact. I like that. And then if we want to turn up the space, so very different modulation effects that when you turn the tweak knob one way, it gets a little bit more vibrato-y, one way it gets a little bit more chorusy. Then you turn the reverb knob, change up that delay time, and it seems like everything shifts again. And it's a very exploratory sound. It's one that when you start really digging into it, you can get lost for hours in it. And it's definitely a favorite of mine to play around with. A very unique mode that I have not heard before and kind of makes this the spacey pedal that its name suggests that it would be. So that's all the modes that are available to you on the Space Race. Now I think it's time to get to a few of my favorite sounds that I've been able to conjure up. have it, my friends. That is the Space Race Reverb pedal from Alexander Pedals. When it comes to the reverb modes on this thing, I really love the out of this world stuff. The analog, the lo-fi, the modulation, those really are the three modes that I find myself gravitating towards most. I kind of grown out of the Shimmer Reverb thing. I used it quite extensively for a while and just haven't really used it since, so it's not really one that I find myself playing all that much, but that low octave is definitely something special. The plate, definitely a good go-to reverb. I could easily slap this on a pedal board if I needed a good reverb and be very pleased with it. The spring, it's good. It doesn't get like authentic spring drip, but I like the other stuff that it can do. That's where I have the most fun. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm happy with it. I'm having a lot of fun, and I hope you had a lot of fun taking a look at this pedal with me today, and I want to know what you thought of Space Race. Let me know your thoughts on the Space Race in the comment section below, and please click the subscribe button so you don't miss the rest of the episodes of Stompbox Saturday coming up. We've got some pretty cool stuff on the horizon. Thank you all so much for joining me this week. I always appreciate having you, and until next time, my friends, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, wishing you all great tone and happy stomping. Cheers.